Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Aurogiri. As the title stated, we are doing a sword guide. Now this was a guide that was requested in the comments. A lot of people know I'm not exactly a sword player, but I understand the logistics and how it works. So a long time ago, in spite of making so many wonderful subscribers, I made this end of days cross because I had the recipe and I said, screw it, I can farm money anytime. So, I made up 6 stars, fused them together, made a cross, and then turned the cross into my triple lunge step sword. So, I did that to piss off a lot of people, but it was also fun. It was, it was an awesome experience. And this sword matches my hair, so I like it. So, end of days cross, that's the sword I'm going to be holding for the video. So, yeah, I'm gonna try and get a close-up of the sword with my face so I can maybe make a thumbnail out of it. I don't know. So we're gonna be talking about the sword guide. So how do people play sword? Now, I'm friends with a lot of really good sword users in the game. So some notable people I'm gonna bring into question here just to, share where my credentials come from. I'm friends with Lyra. A lot of people who watch streams know Lyra. I'm friends with Setsuna. I'm friends with Hirai. My friend Master Shadow is a sword user. This game is primarily filled with sword users, and there's a reason why. And I'm friends with Grazy. He's one of the greatest sword users we've ever had, etc., etc. So there's lots of sword users. I've spent a lot of my time playing with sword users. I talk with them. I know how they play better than I know my own class, because I don't actually talk with a lot of other spear users and bow users and stuff. So I'm so early. Okay. Yeah, you're right on the dot. I had to go talk to my friend who was asking me where to find Amaras, or not Amaras, Ronins, and I had to tell him where they were. So yeah, we're here talking about swords. So we're gonna try and do this one not overly long, because I think swords can be done very quickly. Sword as a weapon, it is a fast attacking weapon. It is quick. To describe the class, it is quick, nimble, and can hit hard when it needs to. But it's the fastest of the 3 power weapons. So there's the 3 power weapons obviously are sword, odachi, and axe. Sword hits I think odachi hits harder than sword, but and then odachi hits the hardest. So odachi's in the middle. It's not the fastest, it's not the slowest, but it's not the strongest. It's in the middle. And then you have axe, which is the slowest and the strongest, and then you have sword, which is the quickest and hits it can hit hard, don't get me wrong, but it will not hit as hard as a fully trained odachi and axe user. So it is the nimble set, sword power. It's the default thing people are going to pick up when they play the game. You get the Oni dagger. I love this Oni dagger. Sword, woohoo. So, swords, R. They have lots of skills, lunge step, and stuff like that. So, swords. So, the first and most important thing about being a sword user is understanding the friendship mechanic of the game. So, therefore, aka bargains. Now, my second character, Scarlet Rose, is a sword user. I wanted to make her a red mage, so she's wisdom and power and dex, so she can use magic or power if ever I feel like whatever. I just wanted to play around with her. So Rose is actually a sword user I'm building. The general build someone's going to have when they're playing swords is, don't look at my stat points, but like this here, 3 Amaras and a Chiami. Eventually the Chiami is going to fade away and it's going to be either 4 Amaras. That's just how it's going to go. Now Amara is a mag. It's all your rank 6 sword moves get a 50% skill force buff. This Magatama is infinitely farmable if you know how to do it. For those that do know and those who don't know, if we go to Moroku here, hey Moroku, Moroku has bargains. So if we click on his bargains, I have new bargains, sold that, cool. So at a certain levels, Moroku will sell the player Magatamas. Mine's level 27. He sells me the Sagittarius Spear Magatama. So, but there are levels, if we go to give presents, it'll bring up the menu for Moroku. Moroku's negotiation level for me is at 7. 7 is currently the highest his negotiations can go on PS4. If you want to be like a god, I tell this to sword users all the time. I meet sword users, you know, I see like a low level, I'm like, hey, do you want to be a sword god? I'll spend like 5 minutes and tell them what they need to do. You know, so when you're a sword user, if you want to be like a really good sword user early game, you know, up until Oshu, because at Oshu, as I said in a previous video, everything's going to change. But up until that point, you can be very, very good at the game if you follow these simple steps. Level up your Moroku to level 16. At level 16, Moroku will get Negotiation 4. What that means is that Negotiations 4, if you do your bargains right, Moroku will sell you Amara mags from time to time. Like every day you can get 1 or 2 Amara Magatamas. What that means is some people say, well, I only need 3 or I only need 4. Why do I need a billion of them? Well, the reason you want a billion of them is because, 1, when you have a billion of them, you can get perfect ornamentations. You can ornament these Magatamas any way you see fit. You know, you can ornament. People are still ornamenting to this day, trying to get Faded Contractor on their Amara so they can get like 16 crit and 26 slice, and then like 17% HP and 17% SP. Like, I believe that is typically the perfect Amara. You know, max crit, max slice, and then HP or SP or one of the two. Primarily, you're just going to want like anywhere from 14 to 16 critical and anywhere from 20 to 26 slice. That is a very high grade, high tier Amara Magatama. So, that said, when you get Moroku to level 60, that's his level. His level will be 16, but once his negotiations hits 4, if you want to be a sword user, never ever level him past that point. Now let's say one day you wake up, you forget what you're doing, you're pissed off, you're just giving friendships, and you get Moroku to 17. The dream isn't over. You can get Moroku to, I believe, up to level 18, and he will continue to sell you Amaras. It is only at level 19 do his bargains change, and he will start selling you Dusk Magatamas, which is for Odachi, which is a lesson we'll save for another day. So that said, you know, that's the first important rule. Get Moroku to 16. If you're a sword user and you find yourself late game and you're like, well, I wish I would have known this trick. I had to farm Rumor Rights and I had to farm this stuff to get these Amaras. Damn, I wish I would have known. Well, that is actually the case for a lot of powerful sword users now. Some of the names I mentioned earlier, namely Lyra, did not know about this trick, and Lyra is considered one of the best players in the game. And Lyra had to farm for their Amaras. You know, they got 1 from a story quest, I think you do, and then they maybe got 1 or 2 from bargains, but they had to farm them up. So every other class has to farm Magatamas. However, power users are actually given their Magatamas from bargains if you know what you're doing. So, you know, if you level your Moroku past 16 or 18, negotiations 4, it's not the end of the world. You just have to farm your max. You just, like, you know, it's like you lost your free membership or whatever. You're off food stamps, let's say. You have to go actually work. You know, twin sword users have to do this, bow users, wand users, every other class has to do it except for power class. It's just how it is. So you're not shit out of luck if you've leveled your Moroku past 16. If you're a new player and you haven't invested too much time and you want to be a sword user, if you want to make your life a lot easier, it might not be that big of a deal to, like, you know, make a new character, reset. But I don't advocate that. I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just, it all comes down to how much you want to farm, if you want it the easy road or the high road or both roads, whatever. Case in point, you're going to need Amara Magatamas late game so you can make the Magatama to replace Amaras, which is the Sky Rendering Mag, which you have to farm late game. It's the 105 mags. They need Ronins, Amaras, Arayas, and I believe a Sugi. And then they're going to need a Scorpion mag. Once you collect all 5 of those mags and some gems and a recipe, you get to make a Sky Rendering mag, which is like potentially 100% skill force. You can wear 3 of them. So you can have 300% skill force and then an Araya or an Asugi or something else that fits. And then that's going to be like 350, 320 some skill force, depending on your ornaments, and you can do really good. But until that comes, because that is, excuse me, until that, because that is still a long ways away, the best way to play sword is get Moroku to 16, get a billion Amara mags. My friend Setsuna is sitting on like 60 of them. On Aurelia, I'm not even a sword user, but I stocked up. I have about 9 of them. And, you know, you just put faded contract or ornamentations on them till you get like 3 or 4 with perfect ornas. And people say, well, what if I already have 4? Am I ready to go on to the next negotiation level? Like, honestly, no. There's nothing you're going to gain from it. If you're wondering how to get Amaras in your bargains at all times, not all times, but you know, they'll be in rotation, as it's called. I have a video called Bargains. It's a guide. It's about 15 minutes long. It explains all that. But for those watching now, I'll explain it again. I'll go talk to Moroku and everything. So you talk to Moroku. You go to your bargains. So before I had like Soul Egg, New Fundushi, and thing. So somebody asked, why didn't I buy everything? One of the reasons is I can't buy any more of this food because I'm fully stocked on it. But like, let's say that Soul Egg, because I actually get Soul Eggs on rotation. I get about 2 or 3 Soul Eggs a day. How I get them to keep constantly coming up is if you only buy that item and one other thing. In other words, if you don't, as long as you don't buy all 3 items from a bargain, Moroku's bargains will never reset. He will continuously sell you the same things in a pattern. So like, let's say the first one's in an Amara and 2 friendship items. The next one's like a random item and a random item and a random item. But every couple hours you're going to get Amaras. As long as you only buy that Amara and one other thing, preferably like Amara Friendship, Amara Camilla, whatever. Because those are the items you're going to see on that level of negotiations. They will continue to resupply you with those over and over and over. So what you want to do is you get your 3 perfect ones with Faded Contractor. Then maybe you want to have 3 perfect ones with Confining Terror. You know, more skill force, more crit. You know, there's lots of different options. Maybe you want to experiment, because with the infinite mags, you can infinitely experiment. It is such a huge advantage. A lot of my friends now, they'll make elemental Amaras. My friend Setsuna is like, oh, I have a lightning Amara that gives me, because they do Heavenly Shield. And you keep doing Heavenly Shield, you try and get different elemental combinations. So if you got an Amara with like lightning or fire, that's super effective for swords, because the bulk of their most powerful skills are fire and lightning element. That is the sword's go-to elements. So it's very useful. So when people say, when can I level my Moroku past 16? I'll tell them you can only do it once you have a Magatama for every possible situation that comes your way. Until then, don't neglect your, like, this opportunity to have infinite possibilities. Like, don't neglect that. So that's how you get your sword Magatamas. As I said, later on you're going to need to make the 105s, but at least at negotiation 16, Moroku will constantly sell you the Magatamas you need. So that constantly knocks one off your farming list. Same thing for my spears. You know, I get Sagittarius. Not every class is so lucky to get one like that, but at least sword is lucky enough to do that. So, you know, I'm going to stop talking to Moroku, and we're going to go over what sword skills are the best. So, yeah, so skills. So when it comes to sword, if we're going to use the Amara Magatamas, they are the most requested, like they're the most staple mag because we get infinite of them. You know, Amara, they're 15 chakra, you ornament them however you want. Now these Amaras say they're rank 6 plus 50% skill force, right? Well, if we look at my end of days cross, because I made it a lunge step sword, lunge step does not go to 6. It does not go past 5. I don't really want to smelt this weapon. I just made it for show. But those mags, they present me with 150 skill force. You know, let's go look at our skill force. I should have 150 just for sword. So this chart is perfect. So these mags will affect all my rank 6s and above, which means 6 and 7, because rank 8s do not exist yet. But it also means I have no skill force for anything else. My lunge step 2, I have no skill force for it. My lunge step 3, nothing. My lunge step 4, nothing. Lunge step 5, nothing. So when it comes to sword users, yes, you get all your mags delivered to you, but at the same time, you're going to need skill cards. You're going to need to work with rank 6 and 7 skills. What that means is that if you want to play sword, Now, I'm going to break your heart, is that in this free-to-play game, if you want to play sword, if you want to be good with sword, you're going to need to do either one of two things. One, put some money in the game. Or two, you're going to need to farm weapons till Kingdom Come, and hopefully you get one with a 6 and a 7 on it. And then you skill change it till you get some good stuff. But ultimately, it's going to come down to it that you're going to want Ogis, and you're going to want skill cards, and honestly, sword is a class that requires Ogis. Now, some say, well, the Satan weapons come with Ogis. I'll say hi to this guy. But, like, my Satan weapon came with Ogi, Fallen Lightning. Some people are like, oh, I can just use that Ogi. It's like, nah, this Ogi's pretty bad. I'm gonna say hello. Hi. So, like, this Ogi, Fallen Lightning, it's just this. It's not even that good. It's actually pretty bad. But, like, if you're a sword user, let's go over the skills you're gonna want. You're gonna want let's look at the skill cards first, because this is gonna dictate how weapons are gonna go for sword users. You know, skill card. So we have skill card set 5. That's Duststorm Blast 6. That's usable with your Amaras. Duststorm Blast is one of the least favored moves, but it still packs a heck of a punch if you use correctly. You know, it's a rank 6 move. It is what it is. So then we have skill card set 4, which is Sacred Strike 7. It's a holy move. It's okay, but I believe it's not as favored as 3s and 2s. Skill card set 2 is Phoenix Slash, the fire move. It's very good on not PS4. Sorry, that got typed and I said PS4. For sword, Phoenix Slash is great. People use it all the time. It's the staple move for the 105 sword, Galardia. It's good on the Kogarasu Maru because it's slice. You know, Phoenix Slash is one of the better skills. And the other one, all sword users need skill card set 3. This is Lightning Slash 7. It is your best skill. Lightning Slash is the best sword skill, in my opinion. There are lots of other moves like Holy Empty Sky Slash, and I'm pretty sure they had they do have Icicle Massacre, which is okay, but ultimately Lightning Slash 7 is your staple move. So were I to make my, were I to make my End of Days an actually good weapon, I would probably put Lightning Slash 7 on last because it's the most important skill. And I'd probably put on, it's Slice and Lightning, so I'd put Phoenix Slash, Lightning Slash 5, Lightning Slash 7, maybe. But I can't use 5. Sword users can't use 5 skills. So in that regard, what you have to do if you want to get fancy skills on your sword is you got to put on 3 skill cards. So preferably Sacred Strike, Lightning Slash, Phoenix Slash. These 3 here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. Put them on, skill change till you get like maybe some good skills. Maybe you're going for Tornado Drop or Icicle Massacre or things like that. And then at the end of the day, depending on what skills you get, you're just going to slap on that Lightning Slash anyway. It's a fun way. That's the only way sword users really get their skills. So if you want to use the Amara build, which is the staple thing, you're going to need to put in some money to get some skill cards, Ogis, etc. Put them on your weapons, like you make a lightsaber or you have like a Ichimonji Sarai. You put on, you know, most people are going to have Phoenix Slash, Lightning Slash, and either Duststorm or Sacred Strike. That's just usually how it goes. Some people only even they'll put like Fierce God's Focus. Like some people, they'll go like Fierce God's Focus like ×3, and then they'll throw on Lightning Slash and Phoenix Slash. And at the end of the day, they have Lightning Slash, Phoenix Slash, Fierce Gods. Like you don't need 3 skills on a weapon to make it good. As long as you have at least 2 and then like some Ogis, you're fine. So then let's go over sword Ogis. Sword gets Oni Spirit Blast Geki on 6. It's like the strongest holy move in the game, pretty much. You're going to want that one. Skill card set 5 is Verdant Storm, a very powerful move. It's fantastic, a great Ogi. Now, Ugi skill card 4 is one of the lesser used sword Ugi. A lot of people don't like using it. Dance of Ice, it's not their preferred thing to do. It might see some play when we get gargoyle weapons late game, but right now people don't really use it too often. Oogie set skill card 3 is Thunder Beast. It is like the most staple sword move in the game. Thunder Beast is your AoE move. It is your I'm going to hit something and get out of there move. It's, you know, as I said before, sword is the nimble yet strong weapon type. So you're going to want to use Thunder Beast to just blaze through enemies. And every sword user uses Thunder Beast. Like, it's just, it's so staple. It's, you know, it's just common. It's just commonplace. Then you have skill card set 2, which is normal Spirit Blast. It's still a good tool if you don't have 6. But now that 6 is around, people are probably going to be using 6 more than 2. And then they'll be saving their 2s for Rapid Storm and a Staff. And then lastly, you have Crimson Flame Blast Smash 6. And this move always comes in 6, and that means you cannot put 2 of them on the same weapon. So, you know, those... And if I were to say the most used Ogies for sword are Crimson Flame Blast Smash, Spirit Blast, Thunder Beast, like, they're all good. Except for skill set card 4. No, sword is a class, as I said, that's dependent on skill cards and it's dependent on Ogies. I believe Cyberstep crafted the game in such a way so that they'd realize that people can get infinite Amaras. Amaras only work for rank 6s. Players are going to be like, oh, I have all my mags given to me. I'm going to you're damn right. I'm going to put money in, get my skill cards, and I'll always have good weapons. That's the power mentality for sword, I believe. You know, if you want to play sword, you can try to play it free to play. My friend Shadow did, but now that he's late game, he's in Edo and stuff, he's like, I'm going to drop some money in, I'm going to try and get a Vanguard, I'm going to try and get some Ogies. That's his thought process now. Because you can play the whole game free to play with no Ogies with sword, and you can beat Ichigo. But once you get to the newer content, it's a whole different story. The bosses there are going to wreck you, and you're going to want Ogies, and it's just how the game gets late game. Like, free to play becomes less and less of an option the further you get into the game. So to reiterate, sword needs money. Sword needs skill cards, and sword needs Ogies. If you're comfortable with that lifestyle, you don't mind dropping like 20 bucks, 30, like 40 bucks every now and again, by all means, play sword. So, like, sword's not too hard to build. You get, like, Ichigo has 3 different swords to pick from. You have Kogura Sumara with Slice Element, you have Lightsaber with Attack Speed, you have 7-star Sword with Holy Element. Those were the big 3 back in the day. Everyone had one of those. They were great. But now they kind of pale in comparison to the almighty Ichimonji Sarai. I don't have one on me right now, but it is the sword's 105 sword. You get it from the pipes in Edo. It's got like 44 lightning element on it and like 20 attack speed, and it's like really strong. So you get one of those. My friend Grazy put like lightning/7, lightning/5, lightning/5. But what you want to do with that is you want to go like lightning slash, thunder beast, and then like crimson and another 7. It's just how it is. Most sword users, their weapons will just say lightning slash, crimson, or lightning slash, phoenix slash, and then either sacred strike or dust storm, unless they skill change some stuff, and then it's gonna have like 2 Ogies, guaranteed. For those that don't know what Thunder Beast is, it is also on Twin Swords. It is Thunder Beast, it's just that. You turn into lightning, you run everything over, do a bunch of damage, and that's what it is. So, Thunder Beast is very useful. I don't have a Spirit Blast to show you guys, but predominantly to play sword, it's not hard to play sword, it takes money. You get infinite Amaras from Oroku, you get the next sword, you build it to 100, you put on 3 skill cards, maybe experiment with some skill change. Ultimately, it's no loss to you because you're just going to put the skill cards on anyway. You're going to use Lightning Slash, you're going to use Phoenix Slash, you're going to use Ogies, you're pretty much going to have to. That's pretty much it. Like, sword is not a difficult thing. Like, when it came to Spear, I described, you know, you have to do your side quests, you have to do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. Now, at the same time, sword does have side quests they can do for mags. You can get, like, the rank 2 or the rank 4. Like, there's some you get early game. Some people like to use Ronins because they actually let them use rank 5s. Now, if we talk about the free-to-play way to play sword, that is, you're still probably going to want Ogies. Like, sword doesn't have good AoE. to complement no Ogis. Now, that is debatable because now that they have Tornado Drop and they have Icicle Massacre, there is a chance that they do have AoE, but currently not many players are experimenting with those moves since they're not easy to obtain. So, like that said, Ogis are the best way to have moves that kill multiple enemies at the same time. There's nothing wrong with picking an enemy off one at a time. I mean, every class has their job. But, like, if you want to be effective, you don't want to rely on other players, you want to be the hero, you want to pick up the sword and run and kill things, by all means, you're probably going to have to put money in. But, I mean, at the same time, if you can get 3 Ronin mags and, you know, if you get 3 Ronins or Amara mags, if you farm your Amaras, you become like every other class and farm Araya mags. They're the rank 5 mags. If you farm them, you can use any sword skill in the game, like any rank 5. But ultimately, when you hit like the islands and late game content, everyone's going to be using sky rendering mags anyway. So it's best to have a bunch of Amaras so you can use them for those mags. But until that time comes, it's the easiest way to play sword. You get a bunch of Amaras, you get a Chiami from either Plover Pit or ACM or whatever. You get an Orange Glass Marble, you farm, you do what you need to do. And that's the general build. You know, you get an Amara, you play with infinite Amaras, you try to get the best ornamentations possible, then you get a Chiami to heal you every time you crit, etc., etc. So, to get into the nitty-gritty of swords, you know, the actual stats, we talked about all the fun stuff, like the skills and the weapons and what you're going to need to do. Let's talk about stat distribution. So, in my opinion, sword users should be daring. Don't be power type, because when you're power, you cripple your dexterity stat, which is the best supplementary stat in the game. So if you're a power user, you're going to have 100 power. After you have 100 power, you're probably going to have about, you know, my friend Grazy, what he did was he was 100 power, 100 power, 70 wisdom, 70 dex. Now those are just hard points to invest. So if we're to talk about total points to put in, I would say obviously 100 power, a total of 65 or 75 mind, and then a total of 72 or 84 dexterity. And then if you want, you can put a total of 24 points into wisdom. Because sword class is very dependent on critical. My critical is like at a base of 17 right now, because I have 100 dexterity plus 31. So, you know, every 12 points give you an extra point to critical. So if you want to play sword with your Magatamas, you're going to want to get that double crit every time. You're going to want to get, like, as I said before, if you can get 15 critical or like per mag, per Amara, or per Amara. So like 15. So if let's say your base critical right now, because you're not a daring type, like you're not at max dexterity like me, let's say your base critical is 15 or 16. So you have 15 base crit. Your weapon at plus 100 gives you 5 critical. So you're at a base of 20 crit. So if you get 15 crit from one Amara, that's going to be 35 critical. Sorry, I just had a brain fart there doing math. So 35 critical, you get another 15 critical, you're at 50. So there you go. If you have, you know, if you do your stats right and you have like 20 crit, 20 natural crit plus your weapon, well, that's going to be 50 critical from 3 mags. When you go past the threshold of 50 critical, like when you're at 50 critical, all it means is every hit you do is going to have a yes or no chance that it's going to be a critical. That's all there is to it. Going higher than 50 is kind of superfluous, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be yes or no. You could have 75 critical, and more often than not, yes, you will critical, but at the end of the day, statistics still mean yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. As I say many times, I fail 95% smelts. There was a 5% chance I was going to fail. I did. The same translates to critical. You could have 99 critical and still not crit. Like, that's just how it works. But having 50 crit is the sweet spot. because that means every other hit is going to be a critical. So if you get, you know, with infinite Amaras, it shouldn't take you long to get enough Fated Contractor to get, you know, mags that have... Like, what you want to do first in an order of operations here is get your critical down first. So if you have your first 3 Amaras, and among all 3 of them, you get a total of, you know, you got 10 in the first one, 10 in the second, 10 in the third, well, that's still 50 critical. But as you continuously make more, you can have your 20 base crit, and then you get, like, you aim for that 15, 16. So, like, 15, 15. You have 50 crit. So on those 2 mags, let's say you have 50 crit, and then you keep trying to replace them with mags that have critical and slice, crit and slice, while still maintaining the same formula. Honestly, if you have 49 critical, it's the same as 50. Don't judge yourself too hard. Those are the numbers you want to aim for, by the way. Anywhere from 48 to 50, you're fine. It's still going to be yes or no. So then... with that third Amara, you are free to try and get some cooler ornamentations like Heavenly Shield. So I'm actually going to go talk to Kaguya and try to bring up the ornamentations for everyone. So, Kaguya. Magatama ornamentation. It crashed my game. Is this